Welcome back. So this session on correlation, we are doing exercise 1. And if you look at the question here, a student was interested in examining whether there was a relationship between the amount of time studying in minutes and the grade received on an exam on a 0 to 100 scale. The amount of time spent studying exam prep is a variable name, and the final grade on the exam, that is grade, the variable name for 25 student is reported in this figure 1. So we have got about 25 students here, and we know that exam prep is one variable, the time they have taken up, you can say, for preparing for exams, and the grades they have obtained. So that is the data. We have to enter this data into the SPSS file. The two variables have to be named as exam prep and grade. And then we have to, you can say, answer the following questions. We have to talk about the null and the alternate hypothesis, state the research question, calculate the correlation coefficient between two variables in you can say SPSS. We have to, you can say, also look at the value of correlation, talk in the sense that okay, fine, the correlation is significant or not at alpha is equal to 0.05. We have to talk about the effect size, and we have to say that okay, fine, whether this effect size is small, medium, or large. And finally, we have to write the results of the study. So let's look at the question once again. We have 25 students whose data is with us. Data is on two variable. Variable one is the time they have taken in preparing for exam, that is studying. So this is known by, you can say, the variable as exam prep. So this information is in minutes, how many minutes they've studied to prepare for the exam. And the second variable is grades, the grades they have obtained in that exam. So these are two variables we have got, and we have to, you can say, find out the correlation coefficient for the two variables and see whether there's a significant relationship coming up or not. So moving on this to, you can say, my new share where I'll be just talking about, you can say, the answers which I have mentioned to some extent. So I'll be just looking at the two answers. So I'm looking at, you can say, I'm looking at the two answers first, that what is the null and alternate hypothesis? It's common. The population, you can say symbol for small r, which is correlation coefficient, is given by the symbol small, you can say given by symbol this rho. Rho we all know is a Greek alphabet, quite similar to small p. And we say the null hypothesis that rho is equal to 0, meaning that there is no correlation between the two variables. And the alternative says that there is some type of correlation. It can be inverse correlation, that is negative correlation. It can be, you can say, positive or direct correlation also. And here we say rho is not equal to 0. So that becomes our null and alternate hypothesis in case of correlation. The research question which we have to mention um, for this particular case, we all know that we have got two variables. First variable is your exam prep or time you have taken in studying, and second is the grade you have obtained in that exam as a student. So the question is there a relationship between the amount of time studying and the grade obtained in exam? So that becomes our research question. We'll now be moving to our SPSS file where the data, you can say, we have got. I've already, you can say, mentioned the data. So this data is already with me here in the data view. So I've got the data. So this data is with me. Now I will, you can say, name the data. Variable one for us is exam prep. So time of studying. Let's write a duration of studying. There is one variable. This variable we all know is in scale form. The other is the other variable is basically, you can say, is talking about grade. So yeah, grades obtained in exam, that becomes R. You can second variable, measure is scale. This is what I've done. So we are moving to, you can say analyze, moving to, you can say compare means, and simply we'll, sorry, we had about correlation. So we are moving to correlation and then moving to bivariate. We have the two variables here. We select both the variables, move them to the central box, that is the variable box. And the moment we do it, we have, you can say, the Pearson correlation by default coming up. So we'll be clicking on the Pearson correlation, and it's definitely a two-tailed test because we are saying that rho for the alternate, you can say hypothesis, that rho is not equal to 0. So it can be less than 0, it can be more than 0, and therefore it becomes a two-tailed. And then I'm saying you can say the value here, that okay, fine. For that, we'll be just clicking on this OK. The moment we click on the OK, we'll be, you can say, going for the output file. I've clicked the output file here for you, and there we are. The output file is in front of me. So this is the answer we've got. Time taken in studying, Pearson correlation. You can say for grades obtained in exam is coming to 0.311. So the value here is, you can say, 0.311, and significance is 0.139. So this is the answer I'm getting. Let me do this test once again so that we understand how this test was done. Before that, what I'll do is I'll just reset the things, close it and start afresh. So here we go, analyze, correlate, click on bivariate. You have the box coming up, select both the variables. Both the variables are in scale form, and we are just looking at the relationship or the strength of relationship between the two. So we click on the variables here and move it to the right hand box. Here by default, you can say correlation coefficient is Pearson. Test of significance is two-tailed. It is two-tailed because we know that the relationship can either be, you can say, um, inverse, that is negative, or it can be direct relationship, which is also known as the positive relationship. And then I'm clicking on OK. And the moment I click on the OK, I'm getting the answers. So time taken in studying with grades obtained in exam is 0.311. Significance happens to be 0.139. It's quite higher as compared to 0.05, which is R, you can say, R cutoff. So basically, you can say we are not accepting this particular hypothesis that the time we are devoting has any significant relationship to the grades you've obtained in a given exam. So that being the case here. So let's move back to our, you can say, original file where we have just mentioned these answers, and we can, you can say, work on those answers now. So here the question that's coming up here is, now we have to say that, okay, fine, calculate the coefficient correlation between the two variables in SPSS. What is the value of correlation? Is the correlation coefficient correlation significant? Test set alpha is equal to 0.05. So here the R value was 0.311. P value was 0.139, and the correlation, since you can say P value is less than 0.05, we know it's not significant. So it's clear. Now coming and talking about this question on effect size, would you characterize the effect size as small, medium, or large? So the value we know is 0.0311, that is the R value. And we have seen from the notes, you can refer to the notes also on effect size. Uh, So you'll find that if the effect size, sorry, if the correlation value comes to, you can say, near 0. Comes to, you can say, plus minus 0.1, we are calling it, you can say, small effect size. If it is, you can say, plus minus 0.3, we are calling it medium effect size. If it is, you can say, plus minus 0.5 or near to it, we are calling it medium effect size, sorry, a large effect size. In our case, you can say the value of 0.311 is quite near to, you can say, 0.3. So we are calling it a medium effect size, or effect size is medium. Now coming finally to the answer. So we have to write the result of the study. This is how the result is there. So we are saying that there is no significant relationship between amount of time studying and grade obtained by students at R is equal to, we had about 25 students, so we have to make it 23. So that's there. So we have said there's no significant relationship between the amount of time studying and the grade obtained by student at R is equal to 0.311 and P is greater than 0.05. So that's the solution to this particular case on, you can say, on correlation. So happy viewing and thank you. So you can now attempt the questions that have been given to you for this particular topic on correlation. Thank you.